Hi there, everyone. Here's some of what's heading your way tonight. Your news at 9.
It's been a full year since the city of Joplin signed an emergency declaration for the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm Zach Dodge with how far we've come since then. Coming up.
2 immigration-related proposals come up for a vote as lawmakers in Washington try to figure out what to do about the surge of migrants on the southern border. I'm Ray Bogan with the latest on these legislative proposals coming up.
So Getty is weather. Jacob Leonard has sports. This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Obby. The state of Missouri is going to advance through the next 2 phases of its COVID vaccine rollout plan soon. Governor Parson today announced the state will move to phase 2 of its vaccine distribution plan on March 29th. Governor says through phase 2, 800,000 Missourians will become eligible for vaccines. Those include workers in the construction field, critical manufacturing, higher education, the remaining workers in the food and agriculture sectors, and the state's homeless population. On April 9th, the state will move to phase 3 of its vaccination plan. This will make every adult Missourian eligible for a vaccine. Today marks a year since the city of Joplin took its first actions toward preventing the spread of COVID-19. KOAM's Zach Dodge has how far we've come since then as restrictions began to loosen and the number of new cases are dropping.
Well, the last time we had Third Thursday would have been October of 2019.
The community event that brings thousands to downtown Joplin has been missing for more than a year.
I think we canceled them one at a time in the beginning, just kind of thinking, oh, well, this is just a blip.
On March 18th, 2020, Joplin passed a state of emergency declaration in response to COVID-19, the first action the city would take to combat the virus. A city ordinance passed the same day, limiting certain businesses' capacity to 50% and public gatherings to no more than 50 people.
It was impactful not only to our organization, to our downtown in general and our downtown businesses, but also to the vendors that set up and, all the different pieces that fall into place.
But if you would have asked me in March of 2020 whether we would still be in it in March of 2021, I would have been surprised.
Mayor Ryan Stanley says every decision the city has had to make has been challenging, that first one being no exception.
Hindsight is 2020. We can always look back and say we should have done this sooner, we should have done this later, and so forth. So it's absolutely not been perfect.
Moving forward from there was the state and city stay-at-home orders, 2 mask mandates, and thousands of cases in the city, with cases reaching a peak in November when the 7-day average was 47 new cases per day. But now that average is just above 3 new cases per day, with hospitalizations tapering off dramatically. Because of that, restrictions have been lifted, and many feel like we're getting closer to normal.
And it does feel like we're playing a winning hand now.
So the Downtown Alliance feels confident they can bring back Third Thursday next month.
We're feeling pretty confident with the numbers going down, with the vaccines rolling out. I think something like this, an outdoor event like this, is more feasible, of course, than it was at all last year.
In Joplin, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
And when Third Thursday does return in April, it's going to look a little bit differently. The number of vendors is being limited. Vendors will be more spread out, and there won't be any live performances. Several area health departments today reported new coronavirus-related deaths. Jasper County Health Department reports the deaths of a man in his 60s, also a woman in her 80s. This raised Jasper County's death toll to 153. Newton County Health Department reported 1 new death, raising that county's total to 84. Finally, Crawford County, Kansas Health Department reports 2 new deaths, bringing that county to 82 total deaths. You can always get the latest COVID statistics from other area communities over on our website, KOAMNewsNow.com. Coronavirus vaccinations are ramping up across the country. The U.S. is now averaging some 2.5 million shots every day. Fox News correspondent David Lee Miller has more.
Tomorrow, 58 days into our administration, we will have met my goal of administering 100 million shots to our fellow Americans.
President Biden is getting closer to his goal of administering 100 million COVID-19 shots in his first 100 days. Some 97 million doses have been handed out since he took office.
8 weeks ago, only 8% of seniors, those most vulnerable to COVID-19, had received a vaccination. Today, 65% of people aged 65 or older have received at least 1 shot.
States are ramping up vaccinations as they ease more COVID-19 restrictions. Starting tomorrow, New Jersey and New York City will increase indoor dining capacity to 50%. Some health experts say while the Northeast remains a hotspot, vaccinations and mask wearing can prevent another surge of infections.
We're doing better with vaccinations now than almost anywhere in the world other than Israel.
Meanwhile, the European Medicines Agency has ruled that AstraZeneca's COVID-19 vaccine is safe. The announcement comes after more than a dozen countries suspended use of the shot after reports of blood clots. The EMA says benefits of the vaccine outweigh the risks, but some doctors fear people will still be hesitant to get the shot.
We're having our clinics not being as full as before and patients cancelling and not turning up because of the rumors that have been spread about the AstraZeneca vaccine.
Dr. Anthony Fauci has told lawmakers that the U.S. could authorize use of the AstraZeneca vaccine in April. In New York, David Lee Miller, Fox News.
First look at weather with Doug Heddy. And Doug, you need to give us back those 60 and 70 degree temperatures, man.
Yeah, and I'll probably do it here in a couple days, so that is good news. It was definitely chilly outside for us today. Temperatures not near as warm as what we've been accustomed to, at least over the past couple weeks. High temp of only 44, average high is 61 degrees, so well shy of that mark. But any rain or snow that we had last night is all out of here, so all the rain is gone. But we still have some clouds. These clouds will slowly break up as we go through the overnight hours for us tonight. There could be a little bit of drizzle over the next couple hours, and then all this will deteriorate, and then we look pretty good. Out to the west, not too much going on, so that is our weather as we go through the next few days. It is cold. We're sitting into lower 40s. Once the clouds break, we'll drop into the lower 30s by the time we head into tomorrow morning. Of course, we're going to look into the weekend here in just a bit.
Doug, thank you. Pittsburgh's Little Balkans Days Festival is returning this year. Last year's event was canceled, of course, because of the pandemic. Officials say funds donated for last year's events will roll over to this year. Fees for vendors will also be reduced. The festival will be on Labor Day weekend. The crash on K7 and 630th Avenue in Crawford County, Kansas kills a Girard man. Kansas State Highway Patrol says Gary Puffenbarger was going west on 630th. The Highway Patrol says he failed to yield, hit a crossing semi. Puffenbarger died at the scene. The driver of the semi, however, was not hurt. Democrats determined to move forward on immigration reform pushed forward a pair of bills in the House. The move comes as both parties grapple over what to do about the surge of migrants along the southern border. Fox News correspondent Ray Bogan has more on the outcome of today's votes.
9 Republicans joined all Democrats to pass the American Dream and Promise Act. If signed into law, the bill provides a pathway to citizenship for immigrants brought to the U.S. illegally as children, currently protected by DACA.
Ronald Reagan said if we ever closed the door to new Americans, our leadership in the world would be lost. It has always been a pleasure for me to sing the praises of our dreamers. They make us so proud.
This bill is disastrous. It is not needed. What we should be doing is securing the southern border.
Shortly after, the House approved the Farm Workforce Modernization Act to provide legal status to 325,000 immigrants working in agriculture. But both bills face a steep uphill climb in the 50-50 Senate.
They're taking up an amnesty plan that would create a special new pathway to citizenship for illegal immigrants working in certain industries.
Republicans are proposing their own bill that boosts funding for border security, protects dreamers, provides a 10-year path to legal status for undocumented immigrants, and expands visas for agricultural workers.
But at the same time, this will never happen if we do not seal the border.
House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy is calling on President Biden to restart 2 Trump-era programs, construction of the border wall and forcing asylum seekers to remain in Mexico while they wait for their hearing. Ray Bogan, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor one of our 4-state heroes. Andrew Ships has served in the U.S. Air Force since 2013. Native of Parsons, Kansas, Ships was stationed in Afghanistan, and we are proud to thank and salute Staff Sergeant Andrew Ships. He is tonight's 4-state hero. Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast. A bit later, Cam Martin leaves Missouri Southern as one of the best to step on the court. Going to have this story in sports.
Well, it turned out to be a much colder day for us today after the severe weather, a couple rounds that we had yesterday, and then rain and snow during the overnight hours last night. But at least this storm system is out of here, and it looks a little bit better as we go through the next few days. Rain stats since midnight, about 1/4 of an inch. Most of this was snow. It really came down last night. The ground turned white. Some areas picked up a few inches. And then in a matter of about an hour, it melted. It was our temperature stayed into the upper 30s, but we had some snow-covered roads in southwestern parts of Missouri. For the month, we're at 5 inches of rain. For the year, almost 10. We're actually above average now by about 3 inches of rain, just due to how wet it has been over the past week. Looks okay right now. We still have a lot of clouds or a few random little sprinkles out there. Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, of course, Indigo, are just outside of Seneca, Missouri. Temperatures are cold. 43 in Iola, Independence 46, Miami 45, Anderson 43, Nevada sitting at 41. But the winds, they're still kind of strong. We still have this north wind at about 15 to 25. They have diminished a little bit, and they will continue to do so during the overnight hours for us tonight. But if we look back over the past 24 hours, of course, we had the severe weather, and then look at the big band of snow right across the region into the morning hours, and then all that rotated off toward the east. We do still have a few random light little showers out there, really drizzle, that will stick around for the next few hours, and then the clouds will break up. Here's our weather over the next few days. Not too much going on out to our west, and then farther west, here's our next storm system. And this system will start to affect us by Monday. Until then, we look okay. Clouds breaking up throughout the overnight hours. Plenty of sunshine on Friday. Still chilly, but better than what we saw today, as we should go into the mid-50s for highs. 31 to start, 49 by noon. High temp of 55 during the afternoon. Tomorrow night, still cold. We drop back near 30. We'll continue to see the clear skies. Sunny skies again on Saturday, and we will start to warm back up. I think most of us will go into the mid-60s Saturday, mid-60s on Sunday, and then here comes our next storm system by the time Monday rolls around. So we're going to warm up ahead of it. We should be into the 60s, showers, thunderstorms on Monday. Right now, it doesn't look like they will be too strong, but something we'll watch over the next couple days. Then we'll get on the colder side of the system by the time Tuesday rolls around. So we'll have leftover showers, and then another wave tries to push in by late Wednesday, which would give us additional chances for rain. 55 tomorrow, 64 Saturday, 64 on Sunday, 62 on Monday with those pretty good chances for showers and thunderstorms, and then cooling down a bit Tuesday and Wednesday back into the 60s by Thursday.
I was so used to those 60-degree temperatures too, several days of them. It just
yeah, the wind just kind of cut through you today.
The unpredictability of spring, right?
Well, I don't like to say that now.
Well, of course, you know everything about spring. Okay, you'll see a little bit. Thanks so much, man. Coming up, the continuously evolving Russian relationship.
Tensions are increasing significantly after tough talk between President Biden and Russian President Vladimir Putin. I'm Jennifer Griffin at the Pentagon. I've got the details coming up.
Tensions are escalating dramatically between Washington and Moscow. This after harsh words from President Biden to his Russian counterpart. Fox News national security correspondent Jennifer Griffin has more now from the Pentagon.
Harsh words from the U.S. and Russian presidents have led to a new standoff between Moscow and Washington. President Biden referring earlier in the week to his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin as a killer who has no soul. The Kremlin responding with anger, recalling its ambassador to the U.S. for urgent consultations. And on Thursday, Putin replied directly to President Biden, especially the killer remark.
It takes one to know one, and that's not just a children's saying or a joke. We always see our own traits in other people and think they are like how we really are.
The heated exchange is part of what the Biden administration claims is a realignment of its Russia policy. It came just hours after the public release of a new intelligence report confirming Putin directly authorized interference in the 2020 presidential election. The White House says President Biden will confront Moscow on this and other issues, and more sanctions are expected this week.
They're going to pay a price. We are not going to look the other way, as we saw a bit over the last 4 years, and we will continue to press them on their actions.
But some critics say the timing is wrong and the U.S. should be confronting China, not Russia.
It all seemed a bit childish to me. What matters for the United States of America is preserving our freedom and security.
The escalating tensions come as Russia hosts a new round of talks between the Taliban, the Afghan government, and 4 other countries, including the U.S., which needs Russia's help to end the fighting in Afghanistan. At the Pentagon, Jennifer Griffin, Fox News.
Just ahead, inching closer to the end of one phase in the George Floyd murder trial.
The painstaking process of finding impartial jurors inches closer to completion. I'm Matt Finn in Minneapolis, where the judge is set to make some big decisions about the future of the trial.
Today, the 10th juror in the George Floyd murder trial was seated. The selection already a painstaking process. And now we're expecting to hear some decisions from the judge that could not only impact jury selection, but the entire trial. Fox News correspondent Matt Finn is in Minneapolis with these details.
Jury selection in the George Floyd death trial continued on Thursday, one day after Judge Peter Cahill unseated 2 of the jurors selected last week for saying they could not be impartial after learning of the city's $27 million settlement with the Floyd family. Many prospective jurors shared the same opinion.
I'm drawn to, one side, to say the least.
Court began Thursday morning with a motion over admitting evidence about George Floyd's emotional state during the deadly arrest, and whether the prosecution can call a forensic psychiatrist to testify about Floyd's behavior during the encounter.
It would be more the general testimony from Dr. Vincent that a person who has encountered a traumatic event, as George Floyd had, just any general human, would be expected to have a reaction that would manifest anxiety, etc. And here's what this looks like in terms of behaviors.
Earlier this week, the defense asked once again for the trial to be relocated, arguing it's very hard to find impartial jurors. The judge is considering the motion and is expected to release his decision on Friday. Judge Cahill will also rule on delaying the trial over concerns of pretrial publicity and whether or not evidence from Floyd's May 2019 arrest will be allowed in court. The defense saying this one and the deadly arrest in May 2020 have several similarities. As long as there are no more delays in this case, opening arguments are scheduled to begin on March 29th. In Minneapolis, Matt Finn, Fox News.
All right, after the break, for all you weather buffs, going to learn why the World Meteorological Organization will no longer be using Greek letters to name hurricanes. Special Committee of the World Meteorological Organization says it's ending the use of Greek letters for hurricanes. And they're typically called up when there are more than 21 storms in a single season. The association says it caused too much confusion and intended to downplay the severity of the storms. So starting this year, the next storms will come from a new supplemental list. Names such as Adria, Braylon, and Kauridad will be used, beginning with Storm 22. Greek alphabet was used 9 times last year in a record-shattering hurricane season. That's interesting. And here's hoping that hurricane season coming up isn't going to be horrible. 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming away. Going to learn about a push to add a diversity officer to the Joplin School's staff.
Asian Americans on high alert after a rise in racially motivated attacks across the country. I'm Lauren Blanchard in Washington. Plus, what activists told lawmakers on Capitol Hill about their fears over rhetoric.
Coalition of local social justice groups has called on the Joplin School District to make a new hire which will help the district deal with diversity. KOAM's Mike Mahoney spoke to them to learn about what they'd like to see change.
Joplin for Justice has created a coalition with other 4 state groups dedicated to social justice, including the Joplin NAACP, Jomo Pride, the Emancipation Celebration Committee, and more. And they've issued a call of action to the Joplin School District.
A call to action that we hire a full-time diversity, equity, and inclusion officer in Joplin schools.
The groups that make up this coalition say the Joplin School District is becoming more diverse every year, and hiring a diversity, equity, and inclusion officer will help it adjust to student and staff needs.
A diversity officer is going to have a very specific role targeting policies, practices, and even providing trainings to our staff and faculty. So really focused on making this an inclusive and welcoming environment in every way.
One of the reasons the Joplin NAACP is on board is because they feel similar hires in other cities have proven to be successful.
This is a nationwide movement. This is not a Joplin movement, and hopefully Joplin, they are listening. They're going to take this step, and it's going to be a grassroots. It's just going to spread because it's nothing but positive.
Joplin school representatives were unavailable for an interview, but the district's director of educational support pointed to the school's social equity group at West Central Elementary, saying, "Our goal is to scale our work more district-wide to focus not only on faculty and staff training, but also look at more effective ways we can attract and retain minority teachers and staff, adjust our curriculum to be more inclusive of minority representation, while examining minority student academic outcomes and social-emotional needs." Joplin for Justice says they haven't received a response to their hiring request, but says they plan to follow up. In Joplin, Mike Mahoney, KOAM News.
Joplin for Justice Representative Dola Flake also has a personal lawsuit against the Joplin School District that calls on hiring of a diversity professional, but she says that is unrelated to the hiring request made by Joplin for Justice and others at a recent school board meeting. Pitt-State's History Club and Black Student Association partnered up to host an open gallery night based on last month's Black History Month exhibits. The exhibit allowed visitors to view art pieces made for the exhibit and also hear from the artists themselves.
It felt really great. The best part was being able to see everyone's reaction to the photos and even just seeing that history connect with everyone. For any historian or archivist, that's always a plus.
The event was held over at the Bicknell Family Center for the Arts. Spire natural gas customers over in Missouri are going to see an increase of about 69 cents a month in their bills. Spire says rate adjustments are based on weather variations. This increase is going to take effect April 1st. Carthage Crisis Center is getting some much needed help thanks to a matching donation offer coming from the all-volunteer board of directors. Crisis Center accepts donations online, also through the mail, and for the next 6 weeks, all donations received are going to be matched dollar for dollar up to $20,000.
That support of the community is really the key to what we do here, because as a nonprofit, if we don't have the funding, we can't do the things that we need to do. And this is when the community comes together. I am just so privileged to be a part of this community, and our volunteer board, I mean, they're incredible.
Carthage Crisis Center helps family members going through difficult times, especially difficult financial times during this pandemic. It's Missions Week for students over at College Heights Christian School in Joplin. During Missions Weeks, students go on trips around the country to provide community service to areas in need. This year, 3 groups spread out across the country to work with missionary groups. Some students are also staying in Joplin to serve at local shelters and nonprofits. There's new information on the attacks around Atlanta that killed 8 people on Tuesday, including 6 Asian women. The suspect right there, 21-year-old Robert Long, is charged with murder, also aggravated assault. Investigators say they're not sure if the attacks were racially motivated. Sheriff's Office spokesman Jay Baker is taking criticism for saying the suspect had a bad day. Shooting prompted an outcry from activists to lawmakers. Lawmakers and the president say now is the time to talk about discrimination and hate against the Asian community. Fox's Lauren Blanchard is in D.C. now with more.
What happens right now and over the course of the coming months will send a message for generations to come as to whether we matter.
On Capitol Hill, lawmakers held a hearing on the rise in discrimination and violence against Asian Americans. It comes in the wake of the shootings in the Atlanta area, where 6 of the 8 victims were Asian women. Police have not yet said if race was a motivating factor for the suspected gunman.
One thing is certain. For many Asian Americans, Tuesday's shocking events felt like the inevitable culmination of a year in which there were nearly 3,800 reported incidents of anti-Asian hate incidents.
The last year of the pandemic has seen a rise in Asian American hate incidents of 150% across major U.S. cities, according to a study by California State University.
There is no doubt that abuse, prejudice, and violence against Asian Americans is on the rise, and it is so un-American and so despicable.
Democrats blame the Trump administration for the increase. They say racially charged terms like China virus and Kung flu and pointing fingers during the pandemic has been dangerous for the Asian American community.
Who decides what is hate? Who decides what is the kind of speech that deserves policing?
The president raised his concerns about rhetoric, about attacks, about threats against the Asian American community. I would say his effort is to be part of the solution, not part of the problem.
President Biden and Vice President Harris will meet with Asian American and Pacific Islander leaders on Friday when they are in Georgia to talk about how the shootings there have impacted the community. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
A bit later, March Madness 2021 style.
This is expected to become the most wagered on sporting event in history. I'm Grady Trimble with Fox Business in Indianapolis. Coming up, I'll tell you why the way people are betting might not be what you think.
Well, at least we are getting a chance to dry out after really all the rain over the past week. And then, of course, our last storm system that rolled through yesterday gave us 2 rounds of severe weather, one in the morning, one in the evening, and then a band of snow across the region last night. Since midnight, about 1/4 of an inch of moisture. Most of that was snow, a rain-snow mix across the region. Rainfall, 5 inches for the month for the year. We're closing in on 10. We're right about the same spot, about an inch behind where we were at this time last year. Still cloudy skies, even a little bit of drizzle, a few random little sprinkles out there, but a nice shot of indigo sky. Casino and resort, of course, Indigo just outside of Seneca, Missouri. Temperatures cooling down. Most of us are sitting into lower 40s, but once the clouds start to break later on tonight, then our temps will drop back to 30 or 31 degrees for an overnight low. Also, it's been windy. The winds are going to decrease, but they're still about 5 to 15 miles per hour out of the north. Look at the band of snow during the morning hours, and then all this kind of pressing off toward the east over the past several hours. Still, you can see a few little random pockets of sprinkles, and we're going to see those at least over the next couple hours, and then all these clouds will break up. This system heading away from us out to the west, there's not a lot going on. That's our weather for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then on Monday, this next storm system will roll in and change our weather up once again. For us tonight, clouds start to break up. We drop back near freezing. Plenty of sunshine on Friday. We're still going to have a northerly wind, so kind of a cooler wind, but it's going to be better than today. 31 to start, 49 by noon, and a high temp right around 55 during the afternoon. Cold again. Tomorrow night, clear skies, near 30 for an overnight low. And then on Saturday, looks pretty good. We get a southerly wind that helps us warm up. I think most of us will go to 63 or 64 for a high. Much of the same on Sunday, even though we'll start to get some clouds increasing. On Monday, here's our next storm system. Showers, thunderstorms increase again. Right now, I don't think they're going to be severe, but something we want to watch. And then we'll get on the colder side of the system by Tuesday. So just kind of on and off showers. That system rolls through. And then we get another wave, which rolls in by Wednesday. 55 tomorrow, 64s over the weekend, 62 on Monday, 57, and then 58 on Tuesday and Wednesday. And those are going to be our days with rain chances, and then 65 on Thursday. If we keep going down the road, we are going to get a storm system in here next weekend. So late Saturday into Sunday, that will give us showers, probably some thunderstorms, and cool us down a bit. And then another long stretch where it's pretty wet from the last day of March, the 31st, all the way through the 4th of April. So we do have plenty of storm systems which are going to affect us over the next couple of weeks.
Weekend looks great, though, Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, get outside and enjoy it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Coming up in sports, Moso Southern. Moso football. Picking up its first win under head coach Atiba Bradley. Plus, it's rivalry night for Pitt State and Missouri Southern volleyball. Jacob Leonard joins us with that and more next.
Well, tonight's the night for Missouri Southern football. The Lions are on the road against Southern Nazarene in their one and only game of the spring. Now, this one, also the first for Southern under head coach Atiba Bradley. Check it out. Lions win a good one, 21-20.
Southern finished this one off by stopping a 2-point conversion with under a minute left in the fourth. Well, tonight's rivalry night for Pitt State and Missouri Southern volleyball. The two teams meet tonight in Pittsburgh for their second and final meeting of the spring. The Lions aim to sweep the season series after beating the Gorillas in Joplin earlier this month. The first set, Alyssa Diaz puts it down. Southern rolls in the first set 25-16. The second set, tight early. Jaden Sanford goes cross court, keeps it in, but the Lions would also take the second set. Big block here from CC Pollard. Pollard good in the second, also gets the kill here. Southern takes set 2, 25-16. To the third now, Moira Casillas finds the open spot. Gorillas lead the third for a while. The Southern gets the sweep 3-0. 11 kills, 0 errors tonight for CC Pollard.
She played like an upperclassman tonight. I was really impressed with her effort, with her execution, and with her decision making, but she's also a great teammate, and so it was fun to watch her play tonight. I think it's just exciting. It's exciting for our girls, it's exciting for our program, but as rivalries go, this is one of the games that we'll be playing for years, so we have to stay humble.
Missouri Southern basketball standout Cam Martin has entered the transfer portal. And Martin will transfer as a graduate student, aiming to help out a Division I program next season. Danny Terzer catches up with Martin and head coach Jeff Boschee to talk about Martin's legacy as one of the best to do it at Missouri Southern.
Cam Martin leaves the Missouri Southern basketball program forever changed.
The things that he did on the court are special. I don't think they'll ever be duplicated here. And in 3 seasons, for him to almost become the all-time leading scorer is beyond remarkable.
The decision to transfer wasn't an easy one.
I felt like it was best for me to go to another year of college, and I like to play at the Division I level and try and prove I can do the same thing at the Division I level I did at the Division II level.
Martin credits Missouri Southern for shaping him into the player he is today.
I felt like I got coaches at Missouri Southern, my teammates got me a lot better over the 3 years. A big way you can tell I got better was my perimeter game. And that just came from all summer working with Coach Boschee.
Martin's work ethic has paid off.
His points and his production on the floor will be something that will go down in history. And, I don't think at this level, I don't think I'll ever coach a kid as dominant as Cam.
The news didn't come as much of a shock.
They kind of all pretty much said they didn't think I belonged to the Division II level, and they're just excited to see me go prove and do what I can do at the highest level. And that was really cool hearing that from them.
Now, Martin's focus is on finding a program that is the right fit.
I'm looking to go somewhere where my role is going to be similar to what it was at Missouri Southern. I don't want to see my minutes drop, my playing time drop, points drop. Somewhere that really needs me, not somebody that just wants me.
His long-term plan is to go pro. As for the program he leaves behind, there are big shoes to fill.
I'm trying to find the next Cam Martin right now, and we're going to have to kind of, I guess, fill his spot with a couple people to replace the amount of production and things that he did for this program.
In Joplin, Danny Terzer, KOAM Sports.
Martin says he will make a final decision on his next stop in mid-April. And that's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
After a 2-year wait, sports fans are ready for March Madness this year after the NCAA tournament was canceled last year because of the coronavirus pandemic. Fox Business Network's Grady Trimble is in Indy, where the tournament is being held this year, and tells us this year could set a record for the most wagered on sporting event ever.
The pandemic has changed the way this tournament is run, and it's also changed the way people are betting on it. The experts say not as many people will be filling out brackets as in previous years because not as many people are going to the office as in previous years, so there's not that peer pressure from coworkers to fill out a bracket. But that won't stop this event, they say, from becoming the most wagered on sporting event of all time. Part of the reason is because there are just so many games to bet on, but here's another reason. Look at this map. Those yellow states that you see, they had sports betting last time around in 2019 during March Madness. But since then, about a dozen states have legalized sports betting, and now the total of states that allow it is up to more than 20. So fans are expected to wager anywhere between $1 billion and $1.5 billion in a variety of different ways on online gambling sites like FanDuel, DraftKings, and Fox Bets, but also in physical sports books. That just wasn't an option in many states last March Madness. We also mentioned the way this tournament has changed. The teams are essentially staying in bubbles, all 68 of them, in their hotels here in Indianapolis. And on top of that, it's reduced fan capacity at the arenas where the games are being played. But nonetheless, fans are in town here and they are excited for this. Fans across the country are excited to put their money where their mouth is by betting. In Indianapolis, Grady Trimble, Fox Business.
Yeah, I'm going to keep my money. All right, going to get some Sonic the Hedgehog movie news. Hollywood Nation coming your way. A speedy production is back in action. A wildlife documentary heads to Fox and more. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin with Hollywood Nation.
A lion roars, a cowboy debuts, and Sonic starts his sequel in the Hollywood Nation.
No, this is not some fun family road trip. You're right.
Filming has kicked off on Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Lights, camera, hedgehog, says director Jeff Fowler, announcing the news on Twitter. The animated adventure sequel will be released April 8th, 2022.
50% of all cowboys were black. Even the Lone Ranger were black.
Who's the Lone Ranger?
Netflix has debuted the trailer for Concrete Cowboy, starring Caleb McLaughlin and Idris Elba. The lead Daniels-produced father-son drama follows a 15-year-old sent to North Philadelphia to live with his estranged father, who rehabilitates horses for inner-city cowboys, and where he finds himself torn between a life of crime and his father's urban cowboy subculture. The film premieres on the streamer April 2nd. And a 2-hour wildlife special is heading to Fox. Malika, the Lion Queen, which is narrated by 911 star Angela Bassett, will air April 4th. The documentary is based on the lionesses of a powerful pride in South Africa's Kruger National Park. Following its TV premiere, the special will be available on Fox's free streaming service Tubi April 18th.
My name is Malika.
In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
That's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Going to leave you with video of animals at the Brookfield Zoo in Chicago enjoying some St. Patrick's Day treats. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.